These are our life's aha moments from the perspective and experiences of two Christian women who are focused on creating a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ.
Join us as we share and discuss insights we have learned and provide tools to empower you on your journey of intentional creation. Welcome to another episode of Ahas, Awakenings, and Applications. I am Leann.
And I'm Melissa.
Thank you for choosing to share some time with us today. We are grateful for your support, and we would like to ask you to help us to expand the reach of our podcast by subscribing, following, and sharing it with others. We are so glad that you are here with us today, and I look forward to being able to discuss talking about the family today. I was really surprised that this was something that we haven't talked about yet, but I'm so grateful. And so as we begin talking about this, I just wanted to recognize that we all come from different family backgrounds. And I would just encourage our listeners to let go of any ideas of the perfect family, because that doesn't come until the next life. And so, and also to just give yourself a lot of grace and self-compassion as we talk about this topic. I feel like it is so important for our day, and it is something that we all need to be focusing on, because it is one of the most important parts of our Heavenly Father's plan. It is central to His plan. And I want to recognize that there are many challenges in families today, and it can often feel overwhelming. And it can feel really challenging when we have struggles with our families. And as we think about that, I was thinking about the adversary and what his purpose is. And he wants us to be divided. He wants us to be individual, because we are not as strong when we try and live life as an individual. There is power in numbers, and there is power in unity. And so I was listening to Sister Bednar gave a talk recently. I was trying to think of where that was. Sister Bednar talking about families, and that really just sparked this idea of we need to talk about families. And I really have been thinking about this morning, and I like to think of a family as a garden. And just bear with me for a moment as I think about that. Like, what does my family need to grow, thrive, and bear fruit?
I like that.
Yeah. So we live in a really harsh environment. And if we don't put in effort, then we will not have those things. Our family will really struggle. So the needs of the garden or the family can't be neglected or left on its own to grow and survive. It needs a place set aside for growth, which is our home, right? It needs good soil that is nourishing. And the family also needs, this garden needs water, and it needs the sun. And so it will also need weeding, and we don't want to give up when it feels overwhelming. And so we also need to look in our guidebook daily, right, to figure out what to do when problems arise, when we need inspiration or guidance. So when we think about our families, they're so much more important than a garden, because they are eternal and they are central to Heavenly Father's plan. One thing that I noticed when I started studying this was I looked up General Conference talks, and there are 423 talks on the family.
Wow.
So
That's a lot.
we can know that this is an important topic because it has been spoken of a lot. And I was kind of playing around with my phone, and I asked AI, don't quote me on this, but I asked AI what happens when families are weak. And I thought the answer was pretty interesting. It said that societies experience increased poverty, increased crime rates, and lower social mobility, which leads to instability. And so we can see that when we shore up our families, that we are not just shoring up our own personal life, we are shoring up our neighborhood, our city, our community, our state, and our country. And how important that
Mhm.
is, should be to all of us. And we can see so much in our society today that works really hard the adversary is working really hard
Yes.
to destroy all of that. So, what have you learned about families?
Well, when you shared that, I just remembered a quote by President Spencer W. Kimball that he gave in October 1980. So this was a while ago.
Yeah.
And it was 46 years ago. And so we think about um, how much, I mean, it was important then, but how much more it is important now. And he said, many of the social restraints which in the past have helped to reinforce and shore up the family are dissolving and disappearing. And this was in 1980.
Yeah.
It's even more now. The time will come when only those who believe deeply and actively in the family will be able to preserve their families in the midst of the evil gathering around us. And we're
Yeah.
seeing that now. He said there are those who would define the family in such a non-traditional way that it would define it out of existence. We of all people should not be taken in by this specious arguments that the family unit is somehow tied to a particular phase of development a mortal society is going through. We are free to resist those moves which downplay the significance of family and which play up the significance of selfish individualism. We know the family to be eternal. We know that when things go wrong in the family, things go wrong in every other institution in society.
Yeah.
So I thought that was so powerful.
That's very powerful. I think about back in 1980, where I didn't necessarily recognize it then, but we can see these forces in action
Mm-hmm.
now. We have access to seeing that easily, very easily. Yeah. And so, when we think about creating meaningful family bonds, it's not the endless entertainment. It's not
Mm-hmm.
um, through the many other ways that are offered to us. It is through spending time together, playing together, laughing together,
Mm-hmm.
learning together, serving together, and resolving differences together because differences come because we are
Mm-hmm.
human and we each have agency and choices that we make, and they may not always be agreeable. And so
Yeah.
working through those things together, remembering that that is important. Sometimes what I hear so many people around me saying is, I just walk away. I'm done. I cut them off. And it kind of surprised me. Some of my friends have said that. And I have felt like, wow, I was really, really surprised. Like I've thought of the many times that I've wanted to give up, or the many times that I'm like, this is super hard. Like, wondering if it was going to be worth it. And I can see that now that it's definitely worth it. It's still hard at times, but it is definitely worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. I think,
I
oh,
Go
good.
ahead.
I think it's so important to, you know, gather as families as much as you can. If that's in person or online, I know it's time and effort to do that, but I think that pays such huge dividends in the future and with those relationships, because
Hmm.
those, taking that time to build those relationships, to spend time together. Just the last few weekends ago, we were together as a family because my youngest daughter and her husband graduated from college, and so we were celebrating them. And my one daughter that doesn't live where we live came, and she and her husband were here with all of us. And just that time, those days that we spent together was so bonding. We just had so much fun. We played games, we just talked. We
Yeah.
didn't go and do anything really. I think we went and saw a movie, but that was it. And it was just spending
Hmm.
time together and just eating together and talking together and playing games together and just enjoying being together. And it was so good. So good.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And I think that's why I love the holidays so much because you make
Mhm.
the time to get people,
Yeah,
your family to extended family together, especially when they've left home and have their own families that they've created.
right.
And so I think that's really neat. I did find a quote from Sister Runia. This is from a couple of years ago, October of 2023. She said, I believe we can, through the eye of faith, zoom out and view ourselves and our
Mm.
families with hope and joy. Because of Christ, it all works out. Focus on the positive.
I
And
remember that talk. I
you
love
remember
that talk.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought, it's really true. Sometimes we get caught up in the difficulties of relationships, and that becomes our focus. And if we can just step back and ask ourselves, what is my part in this? And,
Mhm.
and just really start to focus on what you love about your people. And I
Mhm.
know this past couple of weeks, I have shared with a couple of my family members what I love about them because I want them to
Mm.
know. I want them to hear it directly from me. I don't want them to have to guess how I feel about them. I don't
Nice.
want them to hear it from someone else. I don't want someone else telling them how I feel because that probably won't be very accurate. And so I've just been taking the time. I've been um, not doing everyone all at one time. I've just been
Mm.
doing those who I have felt need it right now. And, I know great things will come from that. And I've had
Mm.
one of my family members share with me, and I just thought, I love that. I love knowing exactly what is happening. So don't leave that to chance, just assuming that your family knows how you feel about them, because you might not know how they
Yeah.
feel.
So years ago, I don't remember. I don't know if this was my idea. I don't remember. It's been so long. But anyway, when my kids were little, I bought each of my children a journal, and I asked um, my parents and my husband's parents to, I wanted them to write a letter, or
Hmm.
say something in a card, for their birthdays and for Christmas and whenever. And so I would put those things in this binder. And I wish I kept it up. I didn't, it happened for several years and then it kind of petered off. But this year, at this last Christmas, I felt that I should do it again. And I wrote a letter to each of my children and my in-law children. They're all my children.
Yes, yes.
And it was so neat to just take that time
Hmm.
to um, to do that. And then I bought each of my son-in-laws a journal as well, and my grandson, and so that they could keep those letters in there. And so as we've had birthdays this year, I've been writing them a letter as well on their birthday, and it's just been so wonderful to just stop and just think about that person and the
Hmm.
wonderful qualities that they have and what I love about them and just telling them that. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think it does a lot for me to be
mm-hmm,
reminded of what I love about that person.
mm-hmm,
I think it's very precious, and I know that there is power in words.
mm-hmm,
And, sometimes we say things and they don't come out properly. We
right.
might unintentionally offend somebody or have this desire to be right. But when we step back and think about what we love about somebody, it just changes your whole focus. And I think it's such a great reminder of what is truly important. We all have our faults, we
Yes.
all make mistakes, um, but we can give that grace to our family. Of all people, it should be our family.
Mhm.
So,
This reminds me of this story, and I'm not going to go find it because I have no idea where I heard this story, but I just think it was in a book I read. Um, it was this man, and he hit their marriage. He and his wife, things weren't going well in their marriage, and he was starting to date other people, and his wife knew that things weren't good and things were going on. And one night, so I guess the night that they were married, she had him like put her over the like, carry her over the threshold of their apartment or wherever they were living. And she just said, I want to ask you to do one thing for me. And he said, okay, I'll do one thing. And she said, every night I want you to carry me over the threshold.
Mm,
And as he started doing that, things started to change. It was that one thing. I mean,
wow.
there's the one thing. And every night he carried her over the threshold. Well, he didn't know. She didn't tell him that she had cancer.
Oh.
And as she was getting worse and worse, he realized that something was wrong. And but he continued carrying her over that threshold. And the night before she died, he carried her over the threshold. And he grew to love her
Mm.
more than he ever had before, just by that one little simple act.
Wow. That's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And I think it's just the way, sometimes it's just the perspective of how we're looking at things. And if we're
Hmm.
focusing on, like we were talking about that, going back to our last episode, and I shared that story with Sister Yi, and how her thoughts were really focused on this really heavy burden that she was carrying. And if we focus on these faults of other people, that's what we're going to focus on, then that's what we're going to see. But when we shift and change, and I've done this so many times with my husband, if I get into this place of, oh, why does he do that? and
Yeah.
and and then I go, oh, wait, no, I'm in the wrong place. I want to see the things he's doing right. And when I focus on that, on the things he's doing, and the things that I know he's doing that shows me he loves me, then
Right.
everything changes.
Right. And when we think about our families, they really are this university where we get to learn and
Yes.
practice how to have these relationships, how to live and compromise and forgive and
Hmm.
exercise faith and repentance and just learning all of these things, patience and
Oh, yes.
resilience. Sometimes it takes a little bit of resilience when we raise our children. So, it really is just this school of learning that we
Hmm.
have. I found a quote by Sister, this was from the BYU Women's Conference, Sister Bednar. She said, "Dear sisters, may we arise and shine forth now as women of light by teaching about, testifying of, and defending the importance of families in God's eternal plan." We have been asked to rise and open
Hmm.
our mouths and share. It has come to a point where we can't just sit back and watch what's happening in the world. We need to open our mouths. We need to stand up for truth. Um,
Hmm.
our families are not going to be perfect, but we're going to love them anyway, no matter where they're at. We're going to love them. As a mom, my job is to love my family, love children, and love others. And so
Hmm.
let's take Sister Bednar's counsel and arise and do what she asked: teach, testify, and defend.
Yes, I love that. It reminds me of President Oak's talk before he became prophet, the conference right after President Nelson had passed. And he talked about, really getting back to the roots of family, eating dinner together,
Yeah.
doing the things that are important. And I think this also goes back to Sister Johnson's talk from the BYU Women's Conference. Also, she talked about the good, better, best. What are the
Yes.
things that can strengthen our family? What are the best things that we can do to strengthen those relationships and spend time together doing things that are important?
Yeah, I loved her talk as well. It was beautiful. And I have been thinking about that and asking myself, is this the best thing that I could be doing?
You're right.
It's helped me to slow down and
Hmm.
be more intentional with my choices and my focus.
Yes, yes. This is from President Hinckley, that this was in 1995, and this is, he read the Proclamation of the Family to the sisters in their general meeting, really exciting meeting. And I think that in itself is pretty cool, that he read it to the sisters first.
Mhm.
And how that document has stood the test of time, and also how relevant it is to us today also. But I wanted to share something he said. um, Well, this is Sister Bednar, and when she watched this, she was actually in the conference center when he said this. And she said, I remember the tenderness with which President Hinckley spoke and the feelings I felt as I watched that meeting in our stake center. Oh, she was in the stake center, sorry. I left that gathering with a desire to memorize the document. Marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God, and the family is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of his children. And then she says in the second to last paragraph state, further, we warn that the disintegration of the family will bring upon individuals, communities, and nations the calamities foretold by ancient and modern prophets. So she said, sisters, we live in a time of increasing turmoil and commotion. The road ahead will not be easy. But she says, I have lived long enough to see the correctness of the prophetic teachings of President Kimball and President Hinckley. I know we will all face a wide variety of personal and family challenges, but I have great admiration for those who are willing to defend the family regardless of our own personal situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very powerful, isn't it?
Yes, very powerful. So I'm grateful for a lot of the things that I've been listening to lately that have all kind of, it's funny how they, they're not really on the same topic, but how they all kind of interweave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, should we give an invitation to our listeners today?
Yes.
I was thinking about what if we invited our listeners to just look for that one thing, that next step that they can take to help shore up their own family and bring that protection and safety and that joy that we have talked about today.
Wonderful. I love that. Thanks, Leann.
Thanks, Melissa.
Join us for our next episode as we discuss how the Lord uses invitations as part of his work and how we can respond to those invitations and give them to others. If you enjoyed this podcast, please follow or share with others so we are easier to find. Check out our show notes for each episode in your podcast app or YouTube, and join us on Instagram for more daily content at Awakenings Podcast.